Okay, hello and welcome to OnSurviving. My name is Meagan and I'm a survivor.
My name is Noblelee and I am a survivor.
Together, we're bringing OnSurviving to the world because it matters.
It matters to me because alongside the potent fears of our frail hearts is so much hurt, loss, and trust issues that I often had to suffer with very little resources and zero trust. I am passionate about doing this project because I get to tell my story and be that trusting person to be there and help with the resources that I never had and make a difference in people's processes of surviving.
It matters to me because I want others to recognize the deep strength and rich humanity involved at every step in the process of surviving the tragedies life brings many of us. I suffered silently and alone for too long, and I want to help others to find hope more quickly and readily and feel and be less alone in the process of surviving.
OnSurviving matters to me. It matters to you and it matters to us. I'm so sorry.
You're completely.
I'm struggling.
Yeah. Well, and you're struggling today, right? Because of the topic we have today, right? Topic is Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And some years are like this. And we're gonna dig into all of that today. We're gonna be reflecting on the challenge this day can be for many of us. That I'm like tearing up just because I want to give you a hug so much, Nobly. And so yeah, we're gonna be with each other in that struggle today. And we're also going to talk about some of the ideas that are helping us to make the day as good as possible, even if it's full of tears, right?
Yeah.
And because sometimes that's just the way it needs to be. So folks out there, if you or someone you love also is struggling with this day because you're a mom whose kiddo is with you now in spirit only, or because your mom is now with you in spirit only, or because you're otherwise estranged from your mother, you are in the right place. We are here for each other and we're here for you. And we're hoping that everyone will feel a little less alone, and maybe even find ways to honor and find peace in the mother child relationship that's tough for you or someone you love right now. So, I do want to mention that we are live here today. And if you'd like to share a lightly edited version of the conversation, I will be posting it to YouTube as early as possible tomorrow morning, May 12th, Mother's Day. So, first, before we get into things, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to remind everybody that we do our best to be our full, real selves, to speak as frankly about our feelings and experiences as possible. And we understand that this could trigger some trauma response in folks who are listening. So if that's you, if that comes up along the way, please do take care of yourself as needed. We've got some crisis line options here for you, whichever may fit best for you. Maybe you cycle through them all till you find the right person who's going to show up for you the way you need. We just encourage that you really, really take charge of whatever it is, whatever kind of support will be helpful for you, and to reach out and get it, because truly, 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 you matter. Okay. So that said, let's go ahead and, shall we get going?
Yeah. So for the people out there that don't know Meagan and I's stories, is we both have lost children. My son was a baby and her daughter was 11. And it's important for me to do this episode because, well, because of the way I'm feeling right now and how it feels on Mother's Day. And my son died at 17 hours old, and he would be 9.5 years old today. He was my miracle child, my only child. And I struggle with the fact that I had such a short amount of time with him that I often wake up and wonder, would he walk like me and, talk like me and have my personality and what he would like and just kind of how life would be had I had him here on earth. And because I had him such a short time, a lot of people in my family and people in my life in general don't recognize me as a mother. So that's painful. Everybody in the house I live in has kids. Some of them have had them taken away by the state or whatever, but they don't. I don't. I just don't feel supported in my role as a mother a lot. It makes it really, really hard because I just don't know. It's been a few years since I've had a super bad Mother's Day, and I might be really happy later. I just don't know. But right now, I just feel this is a huge loss. So
I heard several things there, Noblelee. One is a real recognition, and I just want to draw this attention to the fact that you are a mother,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I get that struggle. Um, uh, and I get how that would be especially hard with such a short period of time.
yeah,
And I want to offer one of the things that I've been thinking about recently because and I think a lot of moms who've lost their kid, I don't care how far along, 17 hours, 17 years, 34 years, however long that was, there is something unique about the relationship between mother and child
yeah.
that never ever gets broken ever.
No,
And we might get, some of us may go down a deep dark hole and like trying to run away from ourselves and our emotions, and we separate ourselves from ourselves, but our kiddos are still there. And the fact of the matter is we are still, those of us who are mothers, we are still their mothers. And I know that we can feel like this gap. Like, actually, one of the things that I was reflecting on is that we, after Jasmine died, I when Mother's Day came, it like hit me like, do I still get to call myself a mother? Those questions, do you have kids when you first meet, like, yes, 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 absolutely. And I know that nagging feeling that it's not so. But um
yeah,
as I thought about what makes a mother, really it is about that bond, that very unique bond. You shared, literally shared life, you know and it doesn't have to be more than a minute for that to be a real thing. So anyway, I heard that. I hear you, and I just
I just couldn't imagine saying, "Hey, how many kids do you have?" "Oh, I don't have any." When you've birthed and carried and loved and created a baby. My brother
yes,
was also murdered at age 6, and it's always been, I have a brother. I am the third out of 5 children. It would never be like, oh, my mom just has 4 daughters. That's not true.
right,
She
right,
has 4 daughters and a son
yes.
who's kicking it with my son, with his
With his nephew, huh?
so I couldn't, I don't, I It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this thing, and it says, Mom of an angel, until you can hold them again in heaven, here here is to your beautiful angel that you will always hold in your heart, wishing you an abundance of peace, grace, love, and strength.
Mm,
I just
mm.
have that right there because it's like, yeah, I'm all over the place. I have such a array of emotions going right now. But
Yeah.
later, I there's things that we'll get to that piece later. But I do also want people to know that are watching, moms that are separated from their children for whatever reason, whether it be for whatever reason,
Mm.
that there are things that that we can do, and it's not always sad, but just like life, you just may just be walking through the room, and you'll just miss them
That's
and
right.
love them, and you are a mother, and
Yeah.
it's okay to be whatever way you need to be on Mother's Day. I have my jammies on and a
Yay.
snotty nose, and my shirt has two stick figures on it, and it says, I got your back. And I'm just here, and I love my son, and I am a mother, and
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Um, and I think too about the folks out there who are missing their moms.
yeah,
And even though their moms may not be physically present here with them either because they're, you know, actually walking around somewhere but estranged or
yeah, yeah,
just here in spirit, period. The fact of the matter is, I mean, there's no question that's your mom, right? I mean, so if you look at it that way too, it just seems so obvious.
yeah,
I think we carry a lot of weight, are those of us whose kiddos have died, to like, I don't know, feel like we have to justify it
yeah.
somehow.
Or
Like,
fill up, but you have to show up a certain way, or you have to say something when, for instance, you work in an office and people are bringing in single roses for the mothers, and there's nothing for you.
oh,
A, because they don't know, because you don't want to be vulnerable like that, or B, they just, they're swapping stories in the break room about their favorite kiddo memory, and what do you do?
right.
You
And
know?
and they feel I mean, my benefit of the doubt is they probably feel awkward and don't know what to do. And
Totally,
if they
totally. I'm
know,
sure I
right?
would.
Yeah. So and we'll talk about that too, about
Yeah,
to support, and we'll dig into that.
yeah,
And um and I'm real grateful for you for showing up here today, as you are. You're right. I mean, it can come up anytime. Anything can trigger it, whether it's this day or another day. I know that uh, for me, I had well, Jasmine just had her birthday, April
yeah.
25th.
Yes, she did.
She would have been 29 years old.
Mm,
29. Holy moly. And yeah, so 18 years since she has has been gone. At least in her physical self. And I always celebrate her birthday, and this year I one of the ways I do that is by baking her a cake. And I baked a cheesecake and made salted caramel sauce to go on it. And I was so excited about all of it. And
yeah.
I burned them both, and I completely lost it and felt like the ultimate failure. Like, I can't even bake her a cake on her birthday. This is the time I get to focus, and I'm a failure now. I was a failure then. I I just completely melted. And I'm like, really 18 years late, and I also felt like I should have this under, it should be
Yeah.
different. I should be able to just celebrate her. It's Mother's Day. I should be able to just honor myself, without all of this. And that's a freaking delusion.
Yeah.
It just sometimes, you know, somebody said to me that maybe it was a gift that I burnt that cake because I needed to cry like that.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is just time for you to do some more cleansing of all that crap, like the gunk that builds up when we're living the rest of our lives. And so that you can be able to see more clearly and connect more clearly with your boy and
I
your
think
love.
I think so too. I just wanted to just say really quick. I also just wanted to give recognition to the people who has mothers with dementia
Oh,
and with
yes.
Alzheimer's because I'm also having to go and have. I'm going to spend some time with my mother today, but she's not my same mom, and she's getting to the point where she can't remember the grandkids and stuff like that. So it's like this is where the gratitude piece comes in for the fact that I didn't have a great relationship with my mother. I felt let down in a lot of ways, but and as crazy as it sounds, the loss of my child made me understand my mother in a whole different light, and I've forgiven you know that stuff. But anyway, I just I'm grateful that this year, this Mother's Day, this today, if we do it today or tomorrow, I'm not sure, but she'll remember me today.
It's beautiful.
And I believe that I'm going to see Waylon again. And even though I'm going to be however old I am and he's going to be a baby, he's going to know me. That's not
Yeah,
ever going to change.
that's
And
right.
so I'm trying to hold on to and some gratitude. And is every once in a while I could smell a newborn baby's head and smell my son.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's like it doesn't happen all the time, but that smell of your baby, and once
Mhm.
once in a while I'll grab up a baby. When I smelt Lila for the very first time, my beautiful niece, I smell Waylon.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
And I'm sure it's a mix of things,
yeah,
right? Yeah, it's beautiful and heart-wrenching and
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I really love what you said about being with your mom and that she'll remember you today. Oh gosh. That's powerful stuff. And even, makes me think of well, I just came through a really long drive across a big section of the country, and I was listening to This American Life, and there was an episode. I can't remember what it was. It was something about like well, it was about loaded questions, basically. And one
yeah,
of the acts, for those of you that know about This American Life, there's several acts on a theme, right? And one of them was about a couple dealing with people asking that question when you meet them about how many children you have. In their case, they had two. It's just that one had passed on. And oh, actually, that was a I I know really relate to that challenge with this day, not just with this day, with any day walking around down there, right? And being able to identify that we are in fact parents of these children. Yeah, I will always say yes, I have a child and she has moved on, she has passed on. um and but there was another episode too that there was this great story about a kid who had lost his grandparent, and he was worried because he was like doing a bunch of like had been misbehaving or whatever, breaking whatever rules, and he was afraid that his grandpa would be able to see him.
Mm.
And oh man, that like touched on like,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah,
Like honestly, in those first several years, like I couldn't even like, I could barely connect with myself. I shut everything out, and God, I did not want to think about this idea that she was seeing me because I was.
yeah. Me neither. But that was kind of one of the pivotal things that took part in getting me clean. Was there's an old country group called Diamond Rio,
Mm,
and they sing a song called "Holes in the Floor of Heaven."
mm,
And somebody had said to me, "Well, you know, he's looking down through those holes, and this is what he's seeing." And I too was like, "Wait, what?" You know, and I was it still took me quite some time to get life figured out, but I too, like you, was like that was a hard one.
Yeah. I wish I could like hold an umbrella up and like, you can't
Yeah,
see me.
yeah,
Like, nope, not for your
not
eyes,
today.
Please go visit, somebody else for a while because
Yeah,
mom's
yeah,
gonna be a mess here. But I also uh, have to say that one of the things that has been helpful for me too in the healing process has been recognizing that she is in fact still here, right?
yeah,
That Waylon is in fact still here, and that's part of this beautiful thing about celebrating our motherhood, is that we can still celebrate with them right
yeah,
here, right now, in this moment. So, and for anyone whose moms have passed, we can celebrate them, with them right here and right now. So it really does seem like such a path. I mean, you're 9.5 years. I'm at 18 and a half.
yeah.
Is that right? I don't know, 18-ish.
Yeah,
I know.
I know.
Maybe it's 17. I don't know. Anyway, it's uh things. I guess one little piece of hope before we talk a little bit more about the challenges is that these things that we talk about that we struggle with, and like that you're showing up with right here, right now, Nobly, is that they come, they're real, they're big, they're heavy. And at least in my experience, over time, I've been able to sit with them, experience them, and move through them. Like
Yeah,
this time has allowed me to learn to live with those feelings when they come, and know that they won't be present forever, and that I still have a full life to live. And and that doesn't have to like draw that grief and pain and loss doesn't um consume my whole life anymore, if that makes sense. It's never fully goes
completely makes.
away, but it's not crushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It may be, but it's a fleeting moment.
right.
And
Right.
that's what happens now. Like I'm crushed right now, but I'm already starting to smile because I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do later. You know what I mean?
Mm.
What I'm gonna show up to do later, which is go by the water. You know,
Mm. Mm.
I'm a water child, and I know my kid would Waylon would have been too, because we would have always been out the water. So I went to the dollar store and I got a pail and a bucket,
Ah,
and I'm gonna go and do fun things by the water. You know,
yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
That'll make me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there other things you imagine doing too with your Mother's Day? I mean, let's just go ahead and like skip to that part of the conversation about what our plans are for Mother's Day this year, knowing that sometimes they
Yeah.
plans are loose.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're gonna do something with my mom, because of her dementia. She doesn't. There's not a whole lot of stuff she wants to do. She paints her nails and she colors. But we're gonna try to get her outside. She's very fair skinned though, so we're just trying to kind of plan out the best thing. But what she loves to do is my sister and I both have not convertibles, but sunroofs or whatever.
Mhm.
And she likes to just listen to music and cruise. So hopefully we'll do something like that and maybe have some food later. I like you said, I'm just kind of going with the flow. I just know I want to find myself by a body of flowing water at some point today and
Nice.
get out of the house and away from the roommates. No offense. I just feel like closed in when I'm feeling so heavy in my heart, and I don't care to be that vulnerable with people that are around me
Mhm.
necessarily. Same with work. My sponsor, I love her dearly, but she tries to decipher every feeling and are you sure you're not going to use and are you and let me just and I'm like, no, I'm not going to use.
Right.
My head is on fire. I will call you, but I
Yeah.
don't like the heavy questions. And I've been. This is kind of has something to do with this. It doesn't. But when you're trying to date
Mm.
and you're 50 and people want to know why the hell you don't have any kids and you don't really want to tell them because you don't want to have all this with the stranger that you don't even know if you like.
Right.
So then it's like all this weird, well, I have all these kids. And then the first thing that comes up is if you have kids, do you like kids? Do you want kids? Do you care if I have kids? Do you? It's the main question is the kid.
Wow. Wow.
And so I'm like, I don't want to say I don't have kids because what if I like you? Or
Mhm.
what if something comes of this and now I'm saying, well, I don't have kids. And then you
Mm.
find, but if I say I do, and then you try to do the old overly sympathetic, thing. And so, sorry. I'm sorry. I just had been thinking about that. So that just came up out of nowhere. I apologize.
There is no graceful version of that scenario. I can't imagine. It's you hope that you meet somebody who has the humanity enough
I
to
know.
roll with it,
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah.
I liked another This American Life episode. It's so in my head because of this drive,
I
but
know.
where they were talking about the Beyonce test, like in
Yeah.
dating was like, let me see, what do you think about Beyonce?
Yeah. Yeah.
and and if you answer it wrong, you don't respect women. You especially don't respect black women, and you can
Yeah.
just pack sand, man. And but I also think like, can you like imagine like this test about how they respond here?
Yeah.
But if they have the good humanity to be able to stumble through it with you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
probably got somebody pretty decent in your court. Um,
Sure.
yeah. So, and actually back to that other This American Life episode that I started telling about the couple, they it ended being at this show, and it was a Sarah Silverman concert, and it was the opener for Sarah Silverman, and ended with this song, this funny song, that was supposed to be about like, I don't have kids, I don't want kids, and somebody in the audience, you know convince me that I'm wrong and is like going along, da, 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 do you
Yeah.
have kids? Da, da, da. No, okay, you have, and ends up coming to this couple, and
Um,
they then dig deeper. How many? And there was the joke that broke everything apart was, which is your favorite? Which is your favorite? Of course, you have a
yeah.
favorite, and they're like, well, and then mom finally says, well, one of our sons died, and they went, okay, this just got really awkward, like, and this is a
Yeah.
band on stage. But what ended up happening was like they kind of leaned into it, and mom kind of saved the whole thing. She said, well, he would, I can't remember what his name was, Matthew maybe. She's like, he he would have thought this is really funny. And so, and then everyone, then he's like, everybody like cheer for Max, or, or for whatever his name
Yeah.
was. And they had the whole theater like going. And I just like,
What a badass mama.
right.
Yes.
Oh man, amazing. And then she said she's like played it for herself over and over again, because like it was like the best moment of that awkward ass question, which
Yeah.
could have gone and maybe
Way
it's
different.
right. But those folks hung in and like
Yeah.
showed up. And I will say that that is part of the good news in my world anyway. I think you would say this too, but um, is that people do show up for you. That in sometimes in complete messiness, but they
Yeah.
do show up for you. So not only are we not, alone, meaning not with our kids, or our moms, um, but we're not alone in our journey through this really difficult kind of physical separation. Um, and, being able to hear and smell, all of those, the feedback loops that is what we don't get to, a big part of what we don't get to have. And so there are all these other people there who do show up for that, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah.
And
Are
you
you?
show up for me, and it's just really important to, that us mothers who don't have our children physically with us, that we form a tribe, whether you talk on the phone or however that may look like, because even if it's a support group of women that you don't necessarily know, but just knowing that I have you, and that you have the same situation, the loss of a child that I do. I don't we She's in Texas, I'm in Oregon, and it doesn't matter. I already know, and I know that no matter what she's doing today, if she's going to watch a movie, something Jasmine would like, or if she's in a fetal position in her bed or whatever, wherever I am, that she understands that, and then there's so much, and that I could text anything. I could text a crying emoji and she would get it.
That's
It
right.
wouldn't even have to be, and that's the beautiful thing about support, diving into what does help is, I've talked about this a lot, and I know Meagan has too, in different topics of On Surviving, is the silent partner, if you will.
Mm,
Like Andrew, I know does for you a lot, and my sponsor has done for me, where she's there, but she's just letting me do whatever it is that I'm going to do, and that's not always pretty. It's not always pretty, but just to have that silent support that that isn't trying to make it better, because that's, as human beings, that's what we want to do. I don't want you to cry, Meagan. I
yeah.
don't want you to feel bad, because I know it's Mother's Day, but I'm going to dance around you, and I'm going to do all this stuff, and I'm trying, and my intentions are well, but meanwhile you're like sinking into your chair,
Mm, mm,
because you just kind of want to you just want people to acknowledge that you might be going through this, but not make it a huge thing, unless that's what you're trying to do, if that makes any sense.
yeah, totally. You just want, in some ways, for someone to just follow your lead, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I texted you on Jasmine's birthday and told you
Oh,
about my
I know.
my my meltdown, and I was like, "Yep." And I just knew that you would get it. I didn't have to say too much, but I knew I was seen and heard.
You
Um, and
were.
you're right. I too am lucky to have Andrew here. Poor thing, he didn't get the aftermath of my meltdown. He got my first voicing of my melt, which actually just like was like full speed ahead meltdown. I think just before that, I was like kind of sitting there, like in this like shock that I screwed it up so badly, and then was just starting, the thoughts were just starting to stir, and I'm just standing there in the kitchen and my phone rings and he's wanting to know if I need anything else from the grocery store, and I'm like
Yeah.
and I mean like full, by the end, just full scale. I'm a failure. I was going so far as to say I killed my child, which really just meant that I couldn't keep her alive. Like I couldn't save her, like because I just felt like that bad of a failure. Like what's my number one job is to keep her safe, and I couldn't do that. And so just that like rush of blame and madness, and I don't know. The interesting thing this time around for me is that for Mother's Day is that I feel like kind of spent by that, right? Because I was, just a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
and so like trying to think about what I'm gonna do this year. I was like, oh yeah, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And like all these things are spinning, and it's not just Jasmine, but it's actually also um my estranged relationship with my birth mother, and I have friends on my heart as well, including one of my longest time friends, who recently lost her mom, and how tough this day is for her. And actually have another new friend that I made here in Texas and quickly became close to. And she
Yeah.
got pregnant right after we met. And she's now I'm sure as we speak, she is at the children's hospital here in the neonatal intensive care unit, um, sitting with her little baby boy, who has been there on life support. Is she had her baby pretty early, and so in thinking about her and how she's going to spend her Mother's Day, like it was interesting because I started like trying to thinking about, because I've been so like one spent from a birthday, two just having gotten back from this road trip, and just kind of spent from all of that. And I'm like, okay, Mother's Day, what am I going to do about Mother's Day? I'm voicing it, and Andrew says, well, you've definitely got to call Kate, my friend who's and
Has a baby.
the new baby. And when he said that, just like all of a sudden it clicked in me that one thing I have noticed is I didn't used to be able to think about anybody else on Mother's Day. It was all about me. Like I couldn't even think about my own mom. I couldn't think about my mom, or my the person who like was there mothering me like on a daily basis for most of my life, who's also my stepmom. Like I couldn't even like do right by her and appreciate her properly because I was just so focused on my own grief. My grief was like everything like was it was the sun. I mean, everything like orbited around in my life, orbited around that grief and like pulled in toward that grief. And I realized, oh right. I found a special gift for my mom, and we went and sat and had coffee, her afternoon coffee and treat, which she loves. And I gave her this perfect little gift that I found for her, and she loved it. And like, it was all about her. And I was like, yeah, that was really great. And yeah, and I've been contacting my friends more. And you know what? That's
Yeah.
going to be a big part of my Mother's Day tomorrow, because now that I have this opening and capacity, because it not everything orbits around my grief, I'm going to
Yeah.
be like, you know what? I know my life with Jasmine. I know how important this feeling is. If you're not a mom, even for 1 minute, you
Yeah.
can't know what this feels like, right? And it's because
Yeah.
I do, and I have all these other people I love in my life who are moms. I'm going to reach
Yeah.
out to them, and I'm going to
Yeah.
shower some love on them, including you, my friend.
Yeah. That is very true that you said that, because um I would have never been able to. I would never been able to think of anybody else either. I was a runner on Mother's Day. I didn't even, you know what I mean? And so
Mm,
now I do. I get to show up for my mom and my sisters, and
mm,
just, even if they don't. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird
yeah.
because I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know how that's gonna look from year to year. How they're gonna treat me,
Mm,
but
yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Actually,
okay.
let's roll with that, because I think that that's a really important piece of this, right? Because every message that I have gotten over the years that tells me happy Mother's Day, and I know this isn't always happy, or I just want to, give you a shout out that let you know I love you, mama, and
Yeah,
honor what a great, those things, like um um they're not that many, by the way.
yeah,
And but the ones that have, um it has been so meaningful and important to me. Like, I came home from my trip, and Andrew had gotten some calla lilies for me as an early Mother's Day thing. So, like, that, like, to like acknowledge that this is, yeah. Also
yeah,
to acknowledge that that we're moms, and that and to celebrate us too, and to honor us, in our love, for our kids, um as well as our grief, right? I mean, there's our love is separate and intertwined
yeah,
with our grief, but that yeah, that doesn't change, and it's important for people to reach out. And I know it's an especially big challenge for you, um because you lost Waylon, or he transitioned so early. I'm trying to get away from this lost language, because I just
yeah,
I feel like I got her back. So after several years of shutting
yeah.
even myself out, but I feel like I got her back. So I'm trying to avoid the lost language. But anyway, transitioned,
Crossover.
crossed over, yeah. So, but I also recognize that I have never asked for that. And I always an advocate of, when we're at our best, of asking for what we want from people. And truthfully, I never could have asked for that early on. And hell,
Yeah,
I'm not judging anybody for not being able to ask for that. So I'm just kind of, I just know that there's so much wrapped up in it, and there's so much at stake. Like, it was just too much to ask. So, but I'm curious, from your point, is that something you've ever felt like you could ask for?
um, not really. I mean, I too kind of, I used to just be devastated. But now I don't go into any Mother's Day type of celebration with any kind of expectation on it. I just know how I'm going to be. And what I like what helps me is when people ask me, even though I didn't have Waylon very long, but it's nice to have somebody ask you a question about your child. Like,
Mm.
what color were Jasmine's eyes? Were they blue? Because yours are brown. Were
Mm.
they blue?
No, they were brown.
Okay, see, and then it's like somebody would ask, like, even though it's small, but it's like a happy,
Yeah.
like it makes me happy to think about the color of her eyes, or
Mm.
that maybe her or what her favorite color was, or you know what I mean? Like as a mom, you go because it kind of it makes you remember the happy things, like
Yeah. Like what I the question that just popped up in my head is what was Waylon's hair like? Did he have like the crazy, like massive hair that some infants have, or was he like just bald as a
he was somewhere in the middle because I had so much crazy black hair, and I would have thought mine would have been dominant, but his dad, yeah, no, he was somewhere in the middle, but everything was going to be a blue teddy bear. I don't even care what.
Mm.
Blue teddy bear, everything. And the funny joke was is literally the I was 40 years old when I got pregnant with Waylon, and the only craving, I wasn't pickles and ice cream or anything freaky or weird. It was freaking scoops,
Oh,
Frito chips, and queso dip. Like that is all. And we lived on the reservation, so it was like $5 for the scoops, $5 for the dip, and I'm eating that like every day. And Waylon's father got incarcerated way early into my pregnancy, but it was kind of like the ongoing joke of you got a $10 a day habit of the scoops and the freaking cheese. And then my one friend goes, "This is going to be Waylon in kindergarten or Head Start. Who's got scoops, man?" It was like the ongoing joke, like don't invite her over unless you have freaking scoops and queso cheese because she'll.
I love
So
it.
I put that in my paper. I'm actually gonna get me some scoops.
Excellent. Excellent. Are you going to take him to the river with you?
That makes me laugh. And then that song, "Let Her Go" by Passenger was like super popular when I was pregnant. And
Mm.
I would put the headphones on my belly. And
Oh, nice.
if you miss the wait, if you I can't think of it right now, but I like that song.
Tell me the song again. I'm just gonna write it down.
It's called "Let Her Go" by Passenger.
Let her go by passenger.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says if you hate the road because you're missing home. I can't anyway, you gotta listen to it. It's a great song.
I will listen to it. Yeah. I hope you listen to it too. It does feel good, I think, um, on Mother's Day to tap into those things that really like reminds you of your motherhood. Um, I think the same can be true. I'd be curious, but I think the same could be true for people whose moms have passed on, is to
Yeah.
just kind of tap into and do and experience those things so you feel that connection.
Yeah.
I know that that's part of my plan to. I'm not always good at about doing my morning practice on the weekends.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Me either.
I just kind of like feel like lazy and whatever in my
Yeah.
and going
Same.
with whatever. So I don't get up and do my meditation and exercise and all that stuff. But tomorrow I will do
Yeah.
that and we'll get up and just like really focus on connecting with her um
Yeah.
spiritually. And then she loved fairies, which is kind of convenient for like the passing on because it always feels like there's that kind
Yeah.
of spirit in there. And so
Yeah.
one thing I did I got from my mom on from my stepmom mom. I always
Yeah.
had to clarify that. But she gave me these two fairies that she's had in her fairy garden for Jasmine. She's had one for her going, and she gave me two of them to take and put in a garden for her here. So I've already put them out, and I think I'd also like to just spend a little time doing that. So that would be like my
Yeah.
version of like going to the water and eating the scoops, right?
Yes.
Of like
Yeah.
mama time thing. And
I love that.
yeah, we've got this
And
book.
that was very special that your mom, I know it's stepmom, but do you know what mom stands for?
Tell me.
My other mom.
Oh,
My other mom.
I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got my mom. My mom has, like I said, dementia, so she likes to color children's coloring books.
Oh,
So I
cool.
got her all princesses and all Dumbo the elephant and all.
Oh,
She
that's great.
and markers and fingernail polish and nightgowns and all the fun things. So,
Nice.
and I feel like there's the time to be sad like I was earlier, and then that now there's the time to be, proud of
Mm,
the little man that I made, and for you to be proud of the beautiful young lady that you made, and that we can rest on the promises that we will be united, and they definitely are here. They're
yeah.
they're they're not they haven't gone anywhere. We can't see them or touch them, but I feel Waylon around a lot. And I don't know if he would have even liked frogs, but if I see like a tree frog, I think I could see going to do the laundry and pulling tree frogs out of his little jean pockets. I
Oh, I
mean,
love.
there's just, he would have been just this boy, and there's just little
Yeah.
things. Like, I don't know if he would have done that, but I picture him doing that.
Oh, I could totally see that.
And
Yeah.
it just gives me joy. And then sometimes they have Mother's Day powwows, and I also
Mm.
would like to. I used to do that in the past because my I would have had my son involved in Native tradition and dancing and stuff like that. And so sometimes I would go and just watch the little ones do their thing, and it make me feel closer to him because I think he would be out there doing it.
Yeah.
So there are things that we could do to make our mama's hearts feel
Yeah.
alive and good on these sad days too. And it's okay if we show up snotty and crying, and just talking about my son with all of you out there and with my friend Meagan. I already feel better.
Mm. Yeah.
And so it's just going, like you touched on earlier, going, let yourself go through the motions.
Yep.
You don't have to show up all put together, and whoever you're there. We get through the Mother's Day the same way we do with the death dates and the birth dates, the
Right.
best that we can.
That's right. That's right. And give
So,
ourselves permission to, you know, feel how we feel and show up how we show up,
yeah.
and not judge ourselves for it. Yeah. I saw my friend Caroline, who inspires me so much. And once again, she inspired me by talking about how she struggled to she would oftentimes struggle, like not feeling comfortable in spaces, like to just be how she needed to be, or to
Yeah.
be. And so what she started doing was like, hey, if I'm not comfortable in these, I'm going to create spaces where I can be comfortable. And I was just like, oh, yeah, we can do that. Like, even if it's honestly showing up in, say it's a powwow where, everybody is celebrating, but then showing up with that like bubble around you that says, you know what? I am a full mama with a full range of emotions, and whatever
Yeah.
is going to be in that bubble, and that's going to be just right. Okay. And I'm going to keep an eye out for somebody who I think is going to like be like cool by my side, and I'm gonna go reach out to them, and I'm gonna, like I just loved the sense of personal power that came with
Yeah.
that, to do something different. um the other thing that I do want to, that I'm intending to do, I will probably do it. Uh on any good Mother's Day, you should be pampered, even if it's
Yeah.
yourself pampering you. So my self pampering, I like intend to do like a bath with some nice smelling bath salts, and
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll put a movie on or something and just like kick back in some bubble bath or something. And
I love a bubble bath.
me
I,
too.
I
And
bought myself a super cute dress for Mother's Day, and I
ooh,
got my
oh,
hair
really?
cut. It's like a bob, a layered bob.
Stop. Oh my gosh, I
Well,
want to
I
see.
I did some self care, just and that felt really good to feel physically pampered too, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in the reverse, like if somebody out there is like really struggling with missing their moms and would normally be pampering their moms, well, it's kind of like that, like our birthday celebration, right? Like
yeah,
it's like, what can I do to like pamper you? I know you would love this. So you love a good brunch. Let me gather up some girlfriends and we're gonna go have a brunch, or whatever. It's, whatever the case may be, that, if you're gonna, or maybe you don't want to be out, but you can make something up at home that's delicious and wonderful, and just,
I kind of thought about starting a tradition, honestly, like on Mother's Day, for example. Like I manage a recovery house for women who are in recovery, right?
Mhm.
Well, a lot of the women, mine's not, my house only has one child, but a lot of the Oxford houses have several children and
Mm,
several single moms in there with children's or
mm,
dads.
mhm,
But how cool would it be to like go and get a whole bunch of like single roses,
mm,
and even maybe a chocolate or something on it, and just go pick a house and show up to the house and just honor those moms in there that have gotten clean and sober and
yeah.
gotten their children back and are
uh,
cohabitating together in this house,
uh,
trying to do it right, do the thing,
uh,
who probably don't get honored.
yeah, I
I mean,
love that.
I'm not good for this year, but moving forward, because next year will be the decade for my boy.
Yeah,
I'm thinking how special ways, like in a 10-year, is a decade's it's a mark. It's
it
a
is.
minute.
It
But
is.
to take and do something that is going to be special, and that I could say this is from Waylon. This
Oh.
rose is from Waylon. Happy Mother's Day,
Mm.
and just bless these women and then go.
Yeah, that's
So
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, and and that's an awfully great recovery strategy, right? When we're
yeah,
struggling with our stuff, and to go out and support somebody else, and honor somebody else,
yeah.
that is a
They
great
say it gets you
strategy.
out of self.
It gets
It
you out of
gets you
stuff.
out of self, and that could be a good thing when you're,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And for me, being bipolar and all that, if I get on the manic low too far, then I won't be able to get out. But if that gives me something to, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And sometimes we need to be sometimes we need to be, in ourselves and in our stuff. So I don't mean to like judge anybody or beat anybody up
no,
that is in that space, but just remember
yeah,
that that is also a tool that can be really helpful and can get you back to a space where you can actually breathe again, and then
yeah.
maybe feel your feelings and take, and then get back to yourself, like when you're able to do it in a way that's not completely overwhelming and crushing you, right? So
Yeah.
that spiral that just is, yeah. Well, and for those of us who um you know live with addiction, when we have that, that's something for us to really watch out for and be mindful of, right? Is that downward spiral. So that's where that, showing up for others can be a really great interruption
Yeah.
to that, and getting,
Nicely put.
yeah. So so I don't how are you feeling? Would you I feel like we've kind of really talked about, we this is a big deal day for many of us in all sorts of situations. One thing just popped into, I was going to kind of wrap up and and talk about all these different things, and then something just popped into my head that I wanted to say. But I'll get to that in a minute. Uh and and that it is very, and that there are lots of different things that we can do in our plans, all of which are right. Maybe we only do some of them, but we can take care of ourselves, pamper ourselves. We can spend some time to connect with the spirits of our loved ones. We can engage in those mother child um relation, activities that really, I can't remember what the words you said, but that like really brought out that kind of spirit of motherhood, like that life
Yeah.
that really brings that into the present, that you feel and engage with what that is. That's an awesome thing to do on Mother's Day. um
Yeah.
and even if you're crying through all of it, like, and of course the best laid plans, going out, like you're going to go out with your mom and your sisters, and maybe that somewhere along the way you're going to have a rough moment, and I hope that you will give yourself permission to step out and take care of yourself, and all of that. um
Same with you too.
yeah, yeah. And the one thing that I did want to add in was, I've given a tiny little nod to my birth mother, who is still around living her life, just not connected to mine. And I have carried so much anger about her, and hurt, and just, I don't know, that I just haven't even really thought about it. But recently I kind of really focused on forgiveness, and I find myself looking back on all of the wonderful things that she did offer me in my life, and there are many, many things I'm grateful for with her. So I'm going to treat her a little bit like she has passed on, and I am going to just engage with that, those good things, and honor that, and the fact that, what, we're all human, and I can forgive her and honor her for her whole self, you know and that'll be, even if I can't have her in my life. Anyway, so now I feel like I've kind of like said the things that are on my heart. I'm curious if there are other things that are on your heart that you want to say before we wrap up.
I so my mom used to be pretty crafty when I was a kid, and I found this old picture frame that she made recently,
Oh, oh,
and
God.
it says, and it's her and I in there,
Oh, lovely. Oh,
and um, I just I just love her, and I'm glad to go spend time with her. And the one thing, Waylon doesn't have siblings. Well, he has six, um, five sisters and one brother, half,
mm,
but they're not. Anyway,
mm,
but if he would have had siblings, I would have done the most beautiful job that my mom did in keeping my brother's memory alive, with us. And so my friend that I'm going to go out to dinner with later, she always asks me about Waylon,
Mm.
and that makes me feel good. And I just like to talk about, even though the memories were short, I also talk about what I think things would have been like,
Mm.
and it's okay to say, to talk about that and to think about that, because sometimes it makes me sad, but it doesn't make me sad right now.
Mm. Mm.
That I just think I, it's okay to think about, what it might have been. I don't sit there and make it a sad thing all the time. Sometimes it is, but but it does help to do things. And I'll go and honor the foster parent who's raising my three baby. They're my nieces and nephews, but I will go and honor her, and I'll get to be around those babies,
Mm.
and so that's gonna make me feel good. And they will know that they have a uncle who is in heaven, and that they have a cousin. I guess Waylon would be their cousin,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
have a cousin. They're
Yeah.
too little now, but when the time comes, they will know all about
Yeah. Yeah.
um, their uncle and their cousin.
For
So,
sure. For sure. He's with them too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Their spirits are so big when they're young.
yeah,
Right. Ours human beings, our spirits are so big. They're so present. When we're young. I mean, I'm serious. I've told you this before that when, Lila was born, I just, oh man, my morning meditation was really heavy focused on her, and I felt so connected to her. Like,
yeah.
you know what
She's
I
doing
mean?
so good.
Oh, it's so awesome.
So Liam is so Liana, the 4-year-old. She likes my sister the best because she raised her for the first 18 months of her life. But Liam, he's the only boy. He's 18 months old, and I get to have him on the weekends. Like, he won't let me put him down. Like, he loves me so much. And the foster mom, because he went straight from the NICU into the arms of the foster home and has never left there.
Wow.
She said that she had witnessed that kind of bond from a little baby like that, to somebody else that wasn't their mother before, that the bond with Liam and myself are. He spent the night with me and just say this really quick. He spent the night with me last weekend, and he fell asleep in the car, and so he didn't know, and then he woke up at home in his crib,
Huh.
and he melted down until he had a video chat with me, because he was, where is she at?
Right.
So that just made me feel really special to have.
Oh,
And it's not replacing my son at all, but it's
no.
just that bond that I've been longing for, and so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
makes it really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome that you have that for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Yeah, what such a gift to have little ones in your life like that.
yeah, yeah.
um
But that's about all. I feel. I think that we talked about some good things, and I think the most important thing is for all the moms out there, and to just be your authentic self, and love on yourself, and honor your children, and honor your mothers if they're there, and just I don't know.
nope, nope, that's yes. And I will add in a message to supporters, to loved
Yeah,
ones,
yeah,
that if you have somebody in your life that that Mother's Day could be a challenge, that especially, well, to reach out to them no matter what, tell them you're thinking about them, and you love them, and and all that good stuff. And then particularly for a parent, if to a mom whose child has transitioned, you know, getting yourself brave enough to say happy Mother's Day, even though you know that it's can be a tough day, but really honor them as a mom. And then I
Yeah.
guess the one little pitch that I would say is to say, and you know, if it's a tough time or whatever, like it's okay not to respond to my message, right?
Yeah.
Like so
Yes.
because sometimes, especially if it's early on, it just feels impossible to respond to people. At least it did for me. And then I would start to feel bad that I didn't respond, and oh, are they, they're going to think I'm a bad person, and and it just turned into this awful thing. So that permission to say, I'm just reaching out to tell you that I love you, I'm with you, um holler
Yeah.
if you want to, and please know you don't have to respond. So that
Yes.
that's would be the one piece of advice that I think is pretty universally good
Yeah.
um on this day. So and all, if you have a capacity to just honor yourselves, because being a mom is a special thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, yeah. So, and I'm gonna kiss
And look at yeah.
kiss my little girl.
Yes.
All
I
right.
love you, my friend. Happy Mother's Day.
I love you too. Happy Mother's Day to you.
I'm here if you need to talk later or
Same, my friend.
okay.
Same. Yeah, and honored everybody else out there.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and wrap up. I would like to just share one little basic announcement
Yes.
to folks. We have decided to once again play with the format for On Surviving, and just with our commitment to make sure that it fits in our lives, and yeah, and not the other way around. So we've decided to play with some different approaches to the conversations. Expect possibly some more shorter conversations, oftentimes just between the two of us, really kind of leaning into the challenges that continue to come up for us as survivors of so many different, like, difficult life circumstances, right? Because I mean, this is a big one that we share, but there's other stuff too. And so, that different things come up at different times. And so Noblelee and I talked about just like, let's just reach out and connect. And if we want to just like jump on for an impromptu on surviving conversation, let's do that. So you can expect, hopefully we'll make good on that and do that as we go forward. And then we may also still, and we'll probably also still, like, if there's a particular topic we want to dig into some more, like maybe we want to bring an expert on or a service provider on to help us learn a little bit more about maybe some strategies we can use with healing.
Yeah.
For instance, may also want to talk to somebody about some improvements that we think ought to be there, or maybe there's things that they're working on. So we'll still have that variety of episodes too. And we've already identified one issue that we had that unfortunately my travels got in the way of, but we will be planning that in soon, where we will talk about um, the um, the challenges that come from getting therapy. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's all sorts of help, but did you know that
Yeah.
it can spill out into other parts of your life too? Holy moly. And
Yes.
yeah, so we'll talk a bit about that and how we can prepare ourselves to handle the overwhelm that can come with therapy. And it occurred to me actually the other day that might be one thing we talk with a therapist about to see, if they actually have suggestions about that. There might be a good expert to bring in. But stay tuned. We'll figure it out, making it up as we
You
go
just gave me an
along.
idea.
Ooh, I love
Yeah.
it. So stay tuned for the good idea that will be coming down the pike. In the meantime, how do you feel? Are you up for a joke with our little healing helpers?
I don't really so much have one. I would just say something like, what did the what did the mother say to the other mother on Mother's Day?
What?
Go on out there and love yourself, kid.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't have anything.
Oh, I love
I
you so
got
much, my
nothing.
friend. Oh, that's
Love
good
you.
advice. uh, and
Right.
go on out there and drink plenty of
I
water.
know. My
Uh, support bodies and minds. You fill that cup. I
yes,
love you.
I love
And
you.
happy Mother's Day again. Have a
Happy
good day,
Mother's
y'all.
Day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.